Welcome back to Comical Opinions. This is a review of Oz, Kingdom of the Lost, number 3 from Zenescope Entertainment. And in this issue, the Shaggy Man finally makes his intentions known to take over Emerald City, the realm of Oz, and eventually, with a brainwashed or possessed army, the entire Earth. But before we get started, please like, share, comment, subscribe. Let us know how we're doing. Your attention is greatly appreciated. So let's get into the credits. This story, which is the third issue in a three-part miniseries, so this is the finale, is written by David Wohl, artwork by Guillermo Fajardo, and Eduardo Garcia is doing the epilogue, which is a backup, but it's really more of a part two to the end of the story, which is a short few pages in the back. Colors by Walter Pereira and letters by Taylor Esposito. The main cover is done by Caio Cacao. So if you remember where we left off with the last issue, and it's been a while since the second issue, uh, Dorothy and her friends have finally tracked down the Tin Man to wherever he had disappeared to after they were given direction by the Shaggy Man about a portal that would take him to where he needed to go. They go into this realm where the Shaggy Man keeps telling them there's an enemy that must be destroyed, and they go through this portal into this sort of hidden realm or sub universe, if you want to call it that, or just this hidden place. And who do they find there? They find the Patchwork Girl, who is a longtime enemy of Dorothy Gale. She's fought her many times. And the Patchwork Girl is Looney Tunes, and she's created this entire kingdom that is nothing but patchwork animals and beasts, and even the sky and the trees and everything else about it is all patchwork. But apparently, for whatever reason, the Patchwork Girl resists influence or possession, and the Shaggy Man has directed Dorothy to go in and after her because she says it's a big threat and she's going to destroy Oz. She gets captured by the Patchwork Girl, and through their back and forth conversations, we learn that the Shaggy Man and the Patchwork Girl are enemies, partly because the Shaggy Man cannot mind control the Patchwork Girl. And so there's a big fight where the Patchwork Girl traps Dorothy and all her friends in this webbing from one of her sort of bug-like creatures. The Shaggy Man shows up, intent on destroying the Patchwork Girl. They have a big fight. The Dorothy and her friends managed to get free when they finally figured out the Shaggy Man is not a good guy; he's actually a bad guy. But they have to make a friend of an enemy of my enemy is my friend scenario with the Patchwork Girl, so that the two of them team up to defeat the Shaggy Man. But it doesn't work out. The Shaggy Man captures all of them, including the Patchwork Girl, and he takes them to this uh, buried, sort of a buried cave in the middle of the desert, where they find a giant portal. And in that portal, the Shaggy Man makes it known that that portal is a pathway back to Earth. But now that he's captured the Patchwork Girl, who's the only person who really has a chance of defeating him, then he's going to take the Patchwork Girl and all her friends and enemies and allies, or if you want to call it that, go back to Oz, enslave everyone, turn them into an army, and then go back and conquer Earth. So this guy is nutso. But it all hangs on the Tin Man being a slave, because he implanted the Tin Man. If you remember from the first issue, he implanted the Tin Man with this little device that basically controls his brain. Surprise, surprise, the Tin Man is no longer controlled because the Patchwork Girl released the little device that was brainwashing the Tin Man, and big fight ensues. And we're not going to spoil the ending, but it kind of turns out better for all involved, maybe, but sort of, but not really, depending on where you think the epilogue is going to go. Anyway, so first impressions. What do we think of the issue? It was a great way to end this surprising little mini series coming out of Zenescope. I mean, of all the things that are happening within the grim universe of Zenescope storytelling, this one felt the most unique. Not necessarily because there's anything different about having a strong female character as the lead and having a magical realm and doing all those kinds of things that you're used to seeing with Mist and Earth and Neverland and Wonderland and all the different realms that we've encountered within the Grimm universe. But this one felt more like a unique story with Dorothy at the helm, fighting characters that are very unique to her, and staving off a villain who has a pretty high stakes plan that is very clear and very very thought out, and very potentially dangerous for everyone that could get caught up in it. What do we like about this issue? First and foremost, the resolution is open-ended but satisfying. So Dave Wohl finds a way to kind of conclude the conflict and deal with the Shaggy Man in a way that controls him, but doesn't really necessarily do away with him permanently. And likewise for the Patchwork Girl, and also for Dorothy and her friends. And the big bonus of that is now that they have a new status quo because the Tin Man is back in play as a character when he was just basically a frozen statue for the longest time. So it was an interesting fight, an interesting challenge, lots of creativity, lots of imagination, and what you always want to see out of these stories is some kind of adjustment to the status quo, and you definitely get all of that. What didn't we like about the issue? Uh, Honestly, I think that the one thing that we could have done a little bit better with or done more with is the Shaggy Man. Even though we explained his origins and why he's motivated the way he is, his design is not very interesting. He's basically a bearded old man with a brown hat and a brown um, overcoat or robe, if you will. Uh, just he's not a very visually interesting character. So that's not to say it wasn't well drawn. It's just that his design is just sort of plain, which I think is strange considering how colorful and eclectic and imaginative this whole book is. So, what do we think of the art just in general? I mean, we're talking about the art for the Shaggy Man. What about the overall art? This is a fantastic looking comic. Guillermo Fajardo is consistently one of the best internal page artists at Zenescope, and he never fails to disappoint. This comic looks great. We're always looking forward to seeing more of his work. I mean, just even the panel designs and layouts. On the first page, there's a montage where the entire page is done like a patchwork quilt, uh, where the panel layouts look like you're looking at a giant quilt with different panels and different colors, and it's just amazing. Fajardo's a fantastic artist, and every time we get to see some of his work, it looks great. Plus, Walter Pereira's colors on top of that just make it even look better because the coloring work is detailed and rich and deep. It has depth to it, and it's just phenomenal. So the art is fantastic in this issue. So, final comments. What do we think about Oz, the Kingdom of the Lost #3 from Zenescope? I would say it's a above average to super solid finish for a three-parter, which sets it apart from everything else that Zenescope is doing, and also keeps the door open for more adventures in the future, which is what we like to see because it checks all the boxes of giving you action, adventure, some emotional story beats in there as well, and it also changes the status quo to give you more opportunities to explore, which we like a lot. So, having said that, we're going to give Oz, King of the Lost #3 from Zenescope Entertainment a solid 9 out of 10. So, I hope you enjoyed this review. But before you leave, please like, share, comment, subscribe to Comical Opinions, hit that bell for notification, and we will talk to you soon.